Hi, my name is Amanda Ramelsberg, and this is my final project for History 102, A Day in the Life of. It will be in the Industrial Revolution period in the Victorian era. I will be portraying a 9-year-old boy named Winston, a coal miner, a middle-aged housewife, Elizabeth, and the Queen Victoria. Thank you. Enjoy.
Hello, my name is Winston. This is my story. I'm 9 years old and I live with my mama and papa in London. We used to live on a farm, but it wasn't doing so well. We had heard from many passing travellers how amazing life in London was with the new machines being built. Mama and papa thought it would be a good place to raise me. Well, we would soon find that we were completely wrong. Papa had received a job offer from a mill owner named Mr. Smith, and he even told us he had a place to stay. So we sold the farm, packed up, and made our way to London. The air here is much more black and dense than in our old home. When we arrived, we met with Mr. Smith, and he showed us the home he had promised. It was not too good a home, and we had to share it with another family. There was no inside lights and there was no sewage, so it spilled out into the streets and just smelled awful. When we moved in, a little while later, Mama and Papa said I had to get a job to help pay rent and that the mine owners were looking for workers. My typical day, besides Sunday, starts at 5 a.m. before the sun is even out. Mama has breakfast and lunch prepared for me, but I must grab and go because I don't have time to eat right now. Papa's on his way out to work at the mill as well. My long walk makes my feet really hurt sometimes because my shoes are so worn out. I am saving a little bit of my earnings to get me new ones. I must hurry. If I'm late even a little bit, the overseers bray us, and it's quite painful. Today, on this day, I arrive early so then I have enough time to eat my breakfast Mama has prepared. Soon enough, the 7 o'clock bell rings and we must begin our shift. I have met friends while working here and I spot one. Her name is Esther. We say our good mornings and then we start to make our way down into the pit. We can hear the cries and the screams from the late children being brayed. Thinking to myself, it is so dangerous in this pit. We've heard from grown-ups telling us about stories of deaths from falling debris and explosions. When we finally reach the bottom, there is a giant rat waiting for us. Esther shrieks and all I can do is laugh. One of the paid rat catchers comes screaming past us, going, "I will go get you, you rat." Me and Esther laugh a little, but we must get to work before we get in trouble. Well, after what seems like an eternity, the lunch bell sounds, and we start to make our way to the surface. There's no light in the pit, so my eyes hurt as I reach the surface because of the sunlight. I grab my lunch and I go to sit down with the other kids in our circle for our lunch hour. There's lots of conversations going on, so I try to listen to all of them. One boy saying that a man came to the pit to observe us. He said he was inspecting us. The grown-ups are saying that the government is going to pass labor laws to where children under 10 have to work only a certain amount of time. But I don't think that they will honor those terms. Another boy is talking about an article that his parents told him about. Some educated man named Andrew said that we children should look on the bright side of our situations and that breaks are a waste of time. I would love to see that man get down here and do this work, the nerve of him. Esther says that she talked to a reporter and that she was going to be published in a newspaper. I wish I could read it, but sadly I don't know how to. After our lunch hour, we get back to work for, again, what seems like a really long time. And then, finally, I never thought it would end, and I get excited when I hear my favorite words, "Quitting time." My eyes don't hurt so much this time as I make my way to the surface because the sun has set. One of the overseers is standing by without earnings, so I grab mine. I say goodbye to Esther, and then I make my walk home. When I get home, Mama has potatoes and bread out for me, but I'm so exhausted that I just give her my earnings, excuse myself, and go lie down, thankful that I do not have to work tomorrow. Hello, my name is Elizabeth. I'm a middle class housewife married to my husband Alexander. We have 6 children together. Their names Robert, Clara, Matilda, James, William, and Lucy. We live in our home in the suburb of Kensington. I remember when I first laid eyes on my husband. Me and my family were attending a friend's Christmas party where Alexander and his father were guests as well. We were engaged for quite some time while Alexander finished his studies and got work in the government. Our wedding was simple, a small ceremony before morning church service, followed by a family breakfast at our home. When we got back from our honeymoon, me and Alexander talked about getting our first home together. We came across this semi-detached Gothic-style home with 3 floors plus a basement and an attic, exactly what we wanted. My mother then gifted me this book, Miss Isabella Beeton's Book of Household Management, to help me now that I had married and gotten a home. When we moved in, I started the process of finding a servant to help me with the housework. Amelia showed up at my door. She had glowing recommendations from her previous employers, so we hired her and she moved into the attic. Then I became pregnant with my first child. Pregnancy to me was the scariest part about being a woman. I saw what my mother went through with my siblings, plus we had family, friends, and neighbors who had lost their lives giving birth. I knew that I wanted a big family like my queen, but it was still scary to think about. My first 4 pregnancies went well, however, and I was back on my feet fairly quickly. But with my last 2, William and Lucy, I became extremely sick during and after they were born. I had to hire another servant to help Amelia with the housework because I couldn't leave my bedside. Alexander had gotten many a promotion, so we were able to afford it, and we brought nursemaid Eleanor into our home. Anywho, my day starts out at 6:30 a.m. promptly. Miss Beeton says early rising is an essential quality of a good household. I bathe quickly, dress, and head down to the basement, which is our kitchen, to start on my meal of bacon, toast, and poached eggs. Amelia has come down multiple times. She just now finished the morning cleaning routine. I head to the dining room and she follows behind me with the food. Alexander's sitting at the table, drinking his tea and reading the newspaper. I kiss him and then we all sit down to a nice meal. Afterwards, Alexander heads to work and Amelia heads down to clean the dishes. I follow her because I must meet with the dairyman, butcher, and grocer to discuss the ingredients for my next week's meals. When I come back up from the kitchen, Eleanor and the children are sitting at the table eating breakfast. Then she takes them upstairs so they may do their studies, and Robert heads off to school. This is a free moment for me, so I decide to do some reading. I go to the reading room and see the magazines my husband has bought me. 1 p.m. rolls around and it's time for lunch. I head down to the kitchen to get the leftover sausages, cheese, biscuits, bread, and butter. Me, Eleanor, and the children, we eat together. Then she takes the children to the park while Amelia cleans the dishes. This is another free moment, so I see that pile of clothes sitting there waiting to be mended by my sewing machine, so I do a little sewing before tea time. Tea time is at 4 p.m. and is served in the drawing room. Amelia brings the snacks that I had prepared earlier plus tea, and I partake. After I'm finished with tea, I head down to the kitchen to finish off the stewed venison that I had started earlier. Amelia sets the table for dinner. At 8 p.m., Alexander has come home from work, and me and him sit down to a nice meal. Eleanor and the children, Robert included, come in from the park, and she gets them ready to eat after me and their father have finished. After Everyone has eaten. Me and Amelia, we clean all of the dishes and the kitchen, while Eleanor gets the children ready for bed. Finally, at 10:30 p.m., I climb into bed, Alexander sleeping soundly. Tomorrow starts our wash day, which is a huge task for my family and takes many days to complete, but I do what I must to make a good household and run it efficiently. Hello, my name is Alexandria Victoria, but you can address me as Queen Victoria. I rule over all of United Kingdom and Ireland, and I am also the Empress of India. I was born May 24th, 1819, in the dining room of Kensington Palace. I am the only legitimate child of my father, Edward Augustus, and mother, Princess Victoria. My childhood was quite lonely. Sure, I had tutors and teachers coming to help me with my studies, and my half-sister Fedora by my side, but nobody my age. But I made do with my dolls writing in my diary, and my King Charles Spaniel named Dash keeping me company. Conroy, how I despised that man with his Kensington system keeping me secluded from the world. But enough of the sadness. Let's talk about a glorious day, the day I became queen. It was Tuesday, June 20th, 1837. Mother woke me at 6 a.m. to tell me that Archbishop Canterbury and Lord Cunningham wanted to see me. I got up, got dressed, and went into my sitting room to meet with them. They then proceeded to tell me that my uncle, the king, had passed at 12 minutes past 2 this morning, so that officially I was queen. I was only 18 years old at the time. The rest of that day was spent talking with my advisors about the kingdom going forward. I had worn a black mourning dress to mourn my uncle, and I hoped that I honored him well, although the painters, they did portray me in white so that I would stand out. My official coronation was June 28, 1838. I remember waking at 4 a.m. to guns going off, music playing, bands playing, and other noises. People were getting excited to celebrate me. I officially woke at 7 a.m. I was so excited I could hardly eat as I got dressed and ready and we headed to the Abbey. The streets were packed with people waiting to see me. It made me so proud to be queen of this great nation. There were a few mishaps, however, like the coronation ring being placed on the wrong finger. That hurt getting off. An elderly peer had fallen down the stairs, and the bishop wrongfully declared the ending of the ceremony. However, when the official ceremony did end, I was home back at the castle at 6 p.m. and had my dinner at 8 p.m. that night. I remember that day and will always remember. The loyalty, love, and affection of my people made me so proud. My love of my life, my cousin Albert and I, were married in 1840. The dress was not one of royal robes, but a simple, beautiful white dress. We have 9 children together. Their names are Victoria, we call her Vicky, Albert, Alice, Alfred, Helena, Louise, Arthur, Leopold, and Beatrice. I remember a delightful leisurely day where me and Vicky accompanied Albert on a hunt. He was so good. He killed so many stags that day. I remember myself sketching the beautiful scenery and Vicky sitting on a wasp's nest. Albert was not only skillful at hunting, he was also quite intelligent and had interests including trade, industry, art, and science. In 1851, he got together the Great Exhibition, which included over 100,000 exhibits from all over the world. I remember standing there in the beautiful pink gown that he had picked out for me. Unfortunately, the world showed me just how cruel it can be. In 1861, my mother passed in March, and on December 14th, Albert, he passed away from typhoid fever. I wore nothing but black that after that day. I was not happy, and colors just meant happiness, which there was none. My help, Highland servant John Brown and Abdul Karim, they did help me come out of my depression and get back to my people. In 1887, I hosted a Golden Jubilee and also held a more magnificent Diamond Jubilee in 1897. Those events helped me get my people back on my side, even though I was still mourning my husband, my dearly beloved. As I sit here now and the time draws near, my strength is disappearing. I feel that soon enough I will be with my beloved.